So firstly, thank you very much for your time and coming to see me. By means of introduction, so my name's Ryan. I'm sure you can all read. I work for a company called Jobrapido, and I'm the sales director for the UK and Ireland. And today I'm going to talk to you about using technology to find, attract, and engage candidates. From a personal perspective, I've got a specific interest in artificial intelligence and machine learning. Good news is I'm going to talk about that in a very, very top level as opposed to, very deep dive way, but I do want to talk about the applicability of how human intelligence and artificial intelligence work together to achieve greater outcomes. So let's crack on. So let's start off by saying that recruiters are vital to an organization's success. It would be career suicide for me to turn up at this event and say anything that wasn't that, right? But it actually happens to be true, and it is something I firmly believe in. And if you think about it, an organization largely thrives or fails depending on the quality of people that work for it and the quality of people that come into that organization. And recruiters have an extremely important role of ensuring that happens. And actually, the role of the recruiter will continue to be critical in the future. And actually, one thing we're going to discuss today is become even more critical. We're going to see how technology and artificial intelligence is going to work with that human side of things to achieve greater aims, and the recruiter is going to be very, very central to that. So let's put a bit of context around everything. So what is the role of technology in recruitment? What's kind of going on? So the use of technology in the recruitment process has greatly reduced subjectivity and enabled organizations to make data-backed hiring decisions. Okay, so what we're talking about essentially is using tech to automate processes that had historically been very manual, to speed up processes, to save costs, etc. And there are some examples there of where that's happened: sourcing, matching, screening, managing your recruitment process, etc. And this all comes under what we term as Industry 4.0, and I'm not going to go into a huge amount of detail unless you're particularly keen to fall asleep at this particular moment now. But Industry 4.0 was a phrase that was coined by the German government after the credit crunch, when it was restructuring its economy and effectively harnessing technology to drive further efficiencies and kind of match systems with people to achieve economic growth. And from a recruitment perspective, we can see how this has happened over the last 10 years around, like I said, sourcing, matching, screening, and managing, and so on. And this has been great because it has achieved efficiencies and enabled organizations to scale, and has also provided them with data which they can use to inform business decisions. But it hasn't been perfect. And I'm going to talk about the imperfections and what's happening today that you can harness today. But in order to do that, I just wanted to put a bit of context about the UK recruitment market. So a lot of this is going to be preaching to the converted. Hiring challenges are mounting. Right? This should come as no surprise to anyone in this room. If that is a surprise, then you've got a very, very good job and consider yourself lucky. But most recruiters are struggling to attract the talent, or struggling to attract some of the talent that they need to bring into their business. And they need to bring that into their business because without that talent, organizations can't achieve their strategic aims and they can't grow. And that is a massive problem. Skill shortages, the way people consume data, this is creating huge problems for recruiters. We then align that with the fact that recruiters are not only under pressure to deliver these hires, but to do it in a way that demonstrates value to the business, demonstrate ROI. It adds further complexity. And, we talk with a lot of recruiters. Very, very few recruiters are being given huge, lavish, eat-all-you-can-eat budgets. Normally it means I need you to demonstrate the return you're getting for the same money you got last year or less money than you got last year. And it is a massive challenge. So then we talk about the digital platforms. So the digital platforms are really helpful. On one side, if we go back in time, the advent of Monster.com, the job boards, and then the aggregators, etc. There's a ton of platforms out there that give you scale and reach, that enable you to engage with the market at prices that, 20 years ago would have been unfathomable, right? These have driven down costs massively. However, you're still tasked with demonstrating ROI, and the challenge you've got in what is a very fragmented digital ecosystem is everyone does this thing that they do differently. Okay, someone is charging you for a 30-day job posting. Someone is charging you for a click. Someone's charging you for an email. How do you make sense of that and understand what your ROI is? Is an ROI a click? Are you getting the outcomes that really matter to you? Are you paying for them? Do you want a click, or do you want someone to apply for your job and come into your business? And these are some of the challenges, the complexities that recruiters face. So just very quickly to recap, it's a really tough market, you know that. You've got a really tough job. You've got to work in a tough market and demonstrate that you're doing a really good job from a financial perspective. And there's a ton of platforms you can use, but it's very complex, it's very fragmented. It makes it very difficult for you. But the good news is that there is tech out there today that is, that is very helpful in this regard. And let's talk about the evolution of the recruitment market to see how this all fits in. So, recruitment advertising, I don't know how many of you, were kind of in the recruitment industry 20 years ago, but there was a huge shift from offline advertising to online marketing, and that drove down costs, it increased scale, etc. But actually, in some ways, the same thing happens, right? It's something we refer to as post and pray, okay? So back in the days, I'd put an advert in a newspaper, and I hope it works. And today, I can put an advert on a job board, or I can stick it on Indeed, or I can put it on many of the great platforms out there, and it costs me less than it did before, and I hope it works. But I don't know it works. I don't know that someone's going to apply for my jobs. And there's a very simple reason for that. It's because until very recently, technology did not exist in the recruitment space that decoded your jobs, decoded talent. It didn't know that you're looking for a certain type of individual, understand what the attributes, the skill sets would be, and could go out to the market and find those people for you. It couldn't do that. And what did that then mean? It meant, well, you were going to pay for what you paid for. You'd get some applies. You'd get a lot of applies in many instances, but you'd have to sift through the diamonds in the rough. You'd have to kiss a lot of frogs to get the prince. And that's a challenge actually from a recruitment perspective, because a recruiter, we started this presentation by saying the importance of recruiters and their ability to understand if someone's a great fit for an organization. And yet, if they're spending all of that time sifting through irrelevant applications, they spend less time actually understanding if someone's going to help their organization grow. So it is a problem. So we spoke about Industry 4.0. Industry 5.0, the fifth industrial revolution, is coming. The role of artificial intelligence and human intelligence working together. So I'm going to talk about AI. It's a very topical, very controversial subject. There's a lot of people out there saying, AI is here to take your jobs. AI is dangerous. AI influences people to react and vote in certain ways. And a lot of this is based on a lot of these statements are based on a misunderstanding, of what AI is, of how AI is applicable to certain industries. And obviously today I'm going to talk about the role of AI within the recruitment industry. So what is Industry 5.0? Well, Industry 5.0 is happening today, and it is basically the realization of the importance of human intelligence, of the importance of the human touch. Right? Those things that AI cannot and will not be able to do. And then, an increasing understanding of the importance of the accuracy and scalability of AI, the fact that AI is very binary, it's very black and white, it's very unbiased, and harnessing artificial intelligence and human intelligence together to achieve greater outcomes. So moving away from using technology just as a means of automation and speeding up processes, and actually understanding where you can use that human intelligence and that artificial intelligence together for an optimal outcome. So let's look at how that happens today. So AI already today is smarter at decoding talent. Right? AI today can find roles through the whole digital ecosystem, in the Google ecosystem, through all the different sites out there that match your specific requirements. Okay, because AI has moved away from a very keyword-based. Historically, we've called roles things. We love to label things in HR. This is what that job title is, etc. But actually, what's important to you is if someone has the skills and experience and the attributes, right? Call the job what you want. Call the job 4th Duke of Wimbledon. Makes no difference. It's what the skill sets are that are important to you as an organization. And AI is great at decoding that. And that is something we have seen in the consumer marketing industry where someone decides that you should buy an Audi, you need to go on holiday to Thailand, and you're going to move house next week. That same level of understanding and decoding your attributes and what you're going to do as an individual exists today in recruitment. And I'm going to talk about that in a little bit more detail in a second. Secondly, AI helps recruiters optimize their sourcing budgets and maximize ROI. There are platforms out there today. In fact, there are platforms here today. And again, I'll talk about that in a little bit more detail. But we spoke earlier about the complexity for recruiters of managing recruitment budgets, getting ROI in a really tough market. There are platforms that do that for you today, that can tell you what your ROI is and make decisions on your behalf to purchase from media platforms that give you the best outcomes. Right? That's today. That happens. And finally, AI helps prevent unconscious bias. I said before, AI is binary. Something is or is not. It doesn't think about it. It doesn't have an opinion. It doesn't have a judgment. Yeah? All it does is, from a recruitment perspective, is it focuses on getting specific skills and experience in from wherever that exists on the internet, and it just uses maths and logic to do that. It does not have any opinion, or it doesn't know better. It doesn't think it knows better than anyone else. It just goes on data and logic. So it's great at filtering out unconscious bias and bringing appropriate talent into organizations. So, the last slide I spoke about this decoding of talent. So what do I mean by that? Well, we've kind of got another 17 minutes or so and not 8 hours, so I'm not going to go into a huge amount of detail, other than the ability to decode and classify talent and skill sets is something we call taxonomy. Okay? Taxonomy, here's an example with a motor vehicle. It's a very simple example. A motor vehicle, okay, I can classify that as a passenger car, a motorcycle, commercial vehicle. If it's a commercial vehicle, it's a bus, it's a taxi, it's a truck. And I'll take it further. If it's a taxi, is it an Uber? Is it a airport limousine? Does it take credit card payments? Does it take American Express? Does it take American Express on a Friday? Does it take foreigner? We can classify to the nth degree, and this is what taxonomy can do today. So from your perspective, if you're after a Ruby on Rails developer, which is an extremely specific skill set, right? These people do extremely niche things. Historically, you've been frustrated by the fact that a keyword-based classification has called something, IT software development, maybe filtered down a little more, but you've had to deal with a ton of applications or no applications because, these people haven't seen your jobs. Well, AI today uses taxonomy to understand exactly what someone is and, more importantly, where those people exist across the internet, because it understands how other sites other platforms such as Google and Bing, etc., will classify this talent as well. And this is all automated. So from a Jobrapido perspective, this is a big focus for us. We have worked extensively with partners such as Symphony Technology Group, Google. We get developer support from Google at Jobrapido to decode talent. And we talk about that Industry 5.0 example of using artificial intelligence and human intelligence in tandem together to achieve better outcomes. Well, from our perspective, our focus is on providing precisely matched talent to recruiters, right? So they're not having to sift through, irrelevant applications. And therefore, the recruiter has more time to recruit, to determine whether or not someone is a good fit for their organization. Because if they're a better fit for their organization, they're more likely to be successful, so there's less money spent in replacing them, and they're more likely to take the organization forward. And don't forget that recruiters actually, as we started off saying, have a fundamentally important role, right? You are providing the fuel for your organizational growth. Don't necessarily get the credit for it all the time, but that's actually what you do. So this is an example of how AI and human intelligence can work together. AI has a very specific role. cutting through all the nonsense and just giving you very specific responses. And then that gives more time for the human intelligence, the human intuition, to do what it does better than AI. Because ultimately, I can provide perfectly matched skill sets into an organization, right? Someone can perfectly match the skill sets you need. Doesn't mean they're going to be any good for the job. You've seen that when you brought people in. CV's wonderful. Come to interview, they're terrible because they don't have the fit for your organization. You know, they might not have the attitude that you need. But the more time you can spend as a recruiter focusing your intuition and your human skills on finding that out, the more successful you're going to be. Anyway, look, this isn't a Jobrapido presentation or a Jobrapido sales pitch, so I'm going to stop there in terms of talking specifically about our role. But hopefully you can understand or you can see how, you know, AI and providing very matched talent pools into recruiter organizations can help recruiters do their jobs, you know, as only they can in an organization. So we spoke about, you know, the industry. We spoke about technology that exists today, some of its limitations. We spoke about, you know, how AI is helpful and has its place. What can you do about it today? Well, the answer is actually pretty simple. Firstly, make sure you're targeting the right candidates. You know, do your reach platforms, you know, do the platforms you use to engage with the market, are they able to actually understand what it is you're looking to hire? Do they understand specifically the nature of your roles, or are you focusing on cost and getting lots of volume through and spending all of your time or a lot of your time filtering through that? Because if you are, I would suggest that's a bit of a waste of time. It's a waste of time for you because you're the best people in your organizations at understanding if someone's a good fit for your organization. But also, we live in a digital age where I, as a consumer, and you as a consumer, expect relevant content to be sent to you. Right? I don't want to have to guess, right? And it's a poor experience for a candidate if they're applying for a job that's irrelevant for them, or they get served with a job that's irrelevant for them, because it actually reflects badly on your organization, because it is at odds with what they get when they're out in the market as a whole, where they're getting very specific content sent to their mobile devices or through their social platforms. So make sure you're targeting the right candidates. You know, make sure the platforms you use are able to reach even those niche roles that you're after. Make sure you're investing your recruitment budgets wisely. I mean, most of you are mandated with that. You know, let's see the ROI we're getting. And I did touch upon the fact that there are platforms out there today that will do that. There are platforms that will tell you where your sources are coming from, where your hires are coming from, where your completed applies are coming from. And those sources actually, in some instances, will manage those recruitment budgets on your behalf. And they are here today. So good examples would be people like ClickIQ, Recruitix, Appcast. Go and talk to them. Talk to them today, because they can save you a lot of time and a lot of money. Seriously, they're really good platforms. Make sure you allow your recruiters to maximize their time understanding if candidates are the right fit for your organization. As you can guess, you know, I've said this a few times, it is something I'm very passionate about. Let recruiters recruit. Don't make them admin people. You know, that's AI, machine learning can do that for you. Can do that for you today, you know. Maximize the time where recruiters are understanding if someone's the best fit for that role, because they're going to be more successful. They're more successful, you're more successful, your organization's more successful. You spend less time and less money hiring more people because the people you bring in are more likely to be more effective. So that's kind of it, you know, for 19 minutes or so. Hopefully, you know, some, if not all of what I've said has been of some value and, you know, a good investment of your time. Just before I do, I just wanted to talk at a very top level about, you know, who we are at Jobrapido and what we do. So essentially, we're a performance marketing platform that focuses on the recruitment sector. In humane English, what that means is we work with organizations to help them save time and money by using AI to connect them with perfectly profiled candidates, all on a global basis and all on a pay-for-results basis. So, sure, you can all read here, but, you know, very top line, you know, we're in 58 countries, number 5 global ranking, 85 million perfectly profiled candidates using this AI technology to, you know, to decode this talent. And yeah, we're on the stage just to the right of the main stage. So I'd welcome the opportunity to, discuss further with you. Other than that, I hope you've enjoyed your day today and you enjoy the rest of the event.